Before tomorrow evening, Archangel Michael says something major will unfold, and you must be prepared emotionally. My beloved child, there is a reason your soul was guided to this message before tomorrow evening. Something major is shifting in your destiny timeline, and Archangel Michael does not want you to emotionally collapse when this unfoldment begins. Right now, your spirit is entering a point where an unseen decision is taking shape in the invisible world, and tomorrow evening becomes the turning axis where everything will start moving differently in your life. This is not a coincidence. This is not random timing, this is not just another message as is the moment before the reveal. There has been a silent build-up happening around you for weeks now. You were feeling restless without knowing why, you kept sensing as if something big was approaching you but you could not define what it was. Your intuition kept ringing inside your chest, inside your heart, inside your throat as if something was on the verge of exposure but you could not decode it. Tomorrow evening is the moment where this hidden sequence finally activates. You were not meant to know this earlier because if you knew too early you would not be emotionally ready to handle the size of this shift. And Archangel Michael says now you are finally ready to hear it. A cycle in your life that has been silently killing your peace is ending. You have been carrying the emotional weight of someone else's karma without even realizing it. You have been holding guilt, fear, emotional wound, disappointment, heartbreak, betrayal, unprocessed pain and internal pressure that was not even yours to carry. Tomorrow evening begins the correction. Tomorrow evening begins the balancing. Tomorrow evening begins the recalibration of everything that has been uneven in your destiny. You cannot run from what is coming, but you will not collapse under it. You will rise because of it. Archangel Michael says someone who tried to emotionally block you will be emotionally blocked themselves. They were using indirect methods to keep your progress slow. They were using silence as manipulation. They were using distance as emotional control. They were using confusion as a weapon against your confidence. And the only reason you were stuck, uncertain, hesitant, scared to take final step forward was because the weight of their intentions was very heavy energetically. But tomorrow evening that weight breaks. That emotional tie breaks. That hold breaks. Your energy will suddenly feel lighter without you doing anything forceful. You will breathe differently. You will think differently. You will see differently. A person who thought they still have access to your emotional weakness will be shocked tomorrow because you are not the same soul anymore. The version of you that existed last month is not the version of you that is stepping into tomorrow evening. Your soul has matured. Your awareness has sharpened. Your emotional capacity has deepened. You are no longer at a stage where you can be redirected by fear. Archangel Michael says a major truth is about to reveal itself to you without you chasing it, without you forcing it, without you begging for it. The truth will just appear. The truth will come to you in such a clean, direct, unstoppable way that you will finally understand why the delays, why the silence, why the confusion, why the waiting. All of it was because the universe was protecting you from seeing things before you were emotionally capable of handling them. If you found out before this time, in your heart would have shattered. But tomorrow evening you will be emotionally prepared. Tomorrow evening you will not break. Tomorrow evening you will not get destroyed. Tomorrow evening you will get delivered. There is someone connected to you who is going through their own internal spiritual crisis. I hid this from everyone. I kept pretending they are fine. I kept acting strong, I kept showing the world a confident version of themselves. But deep inside they are scared because they know they are losing access to you emotionally. And tomorrow evening, the exact moment this shift reaches your soul, their spirit will feel it, they will sense the moment your heart disconnects from their influence. And that moment will be the single most powerful emotional shift of your entire year. Archangel Michael says this is not about revenge. This is not about punishment. This is not about making anyone pay. This is about emotional freedom, clarity, alignment, and inner stability finally returning to your life. You have been emotionally operating with half your spiritual capacity because something was draining you energetically without your awareness. And tomorrow evening that drain ends. Tomorrow evening that energy connection gets cut, tomorrow evening that emotional tether is removed. And once that emotional release happens, everything stuck in your destiny begins to flow again. Your finances, your love life, your confidence, your self-worth, your intuition, your clarity, your progress, everything will begin to accelerate again. Not because something new entered, but because something heavy exited. Archangel Michael says the biggest blessing of tomorrow evening is not what is entering, but what is leaving. Whatever was emotionally trapping you, whatever was emotionally slowing you down, whatever was emotionally freezing your progress is being removed from your spirit. This is why he is preparing you emotionally right now. Because tomorrow evening you will feel something inside you click, and from that moment forward your response to life will not be the same. Your energy will not be the same, your spiritual alignment will not be the same. You will enter a phase where every intuitive signal becomes sharper, your decisions become clearer, and your inner confidence becomes unshakable. This is the beginning of your emotional rebirth. And rebirth always begins quietly right before transformation hits visibly. Your future is not going to look like your past anymore. The person you were 1 year ago, even 1 month ago, cannot walk with you into the destiny that begins after tomorrow evening. A new identity is forming inside you. A more grounded identity. A more emotionally aware identity. A stronger identity. A calmer identity. A more self-respecting identity. And this identity cannot be manipulated by emotional guilt anymore. You were selected for this timing because you have a divine emotional responsibility ahead. Your spirit has to anchor power and compassion at the same time, and Archangel Michael knows you are now ready for this. This is not just about tomorrow, this is about every tomorrow after that. You are being shifted into a season where your emotional reactions will no longer control you. Instead, your emotional presence will influence the environment around you. This part begins differently because now the air around your destiny is becoming heavier with revelation and lighter with emotional weight at the same time. The closer tomorrow evening gets, the closer every hidden truth starts rising to the surface like something that was always meant to be exposed but was waiting for perfect divine alignment. Archangel Michael says the emotional shift that is coming for you is not going to be small. It is not going to be silent. It is not going to be gentle. It is going to be direct, clear, unavoidable, and deeply personal. You have never been this close to a breakthrough moment in your timeline before. This is the threshold. And the moment you cross it, nothing about your inner world will ever return back to the old settings again. You have lived a long time responding emotionally through survival mode. You were protecting yourself because you were afraid of losing more. You were cautious because you were tired of hurting again. You were guarded because the unknown felt unsafe. You were emotionally limiting who had access to your inner world because you have been betrayed by someone you trusted deeply, and you subconsciously built walls because you believed being careful was the only way to stay safe. But tomorrow evening is not coming to test your fear. Tomorrow evening is coming to honor your courage. It is coming to show you that your intuition was guiding you toward emotional strength, not emotional isolation. Archangel Michael says this shift is divinely planned. The timing is not random. The alignment is not accidental. The revelation is not sudden just by chance. Everything that will unfold before tomorrow evening is the result of your energetic preparation over the last months. You have grown through pain. You have matured through disappointment. You have been forced to rebuild your emotional identity piece by piece. And now your emotional strength is finally stable enough to receive revelation that would have shattered you before. You passed the initiation already. What tomorrow evening brings is the reward for staying loyal to your heart while everyone else doubted your capacity to heal. Someone connected to your destiny is realizing something extremely unexpected about you. They thought you will always be emotionally dependent on them. They believed you would never gain enough self-worth to step away from their influence. They were so confident that they had control over your feelings. They assumed they were irreplaceable in your emotional world. But they miscalculated something crucial. They forgot that when God and Archangel Michael decide to elevate a person, no force, no manipulation, no emotional toxicity, no silent control, and no indirect pressure can hold that person down anymore. You cannot be emotionally controlled anymore. And tomorrow evening becomes the moment where they finally face this realization themselves. Archangel Michael says the person who has been acting distant towards you will not be able to remain distant anymore once this shift hits. They will attempt to come closer. They will attempt to reconnect. They will suddenly try to become emotionally active again. Because an inner fear will start rising inside them. They will feel the emotional shift in your soul deeply. They will sense that you are not emotionally tied to them anymore. And this will shake their confidence in a way they did not expect. They will realize they do not hold power anymore. They will realize your spirit is moving toward emotional freedom without waiting for their approval. But listen carefully. This script is not about them. This script is about you understanding your power before tomorrow evening arrives. Your value is not dependent on how anyone else sees you. Your worth is not determined by who stays, who returns, or who walks away. Your emotional identity is being built on divine foundation now. The emotional stability that is coming for you will not be temporary. It will be permanent. You are stepping into a version of yourself that will not chase emotional validation anymore. You will not be waiting for someone to choose you. You will not be waiting for someone to treat you right. You will not be begging for love, attention, respect, support, loyalty, or consistency because you will naturally attract them without effort. Your destiny is entering a rare alignment where divine timing and emotional readiness become one. This combination is very rare in a person's life journey. Most people never experience this level of emotional transformation consciously. But you are becoming one of the rare ones. Tomorrow evening is not just an event, it is a frequency shift. It is a moment where your inner world and outer world finally synchronize. And once that synchronization locks, every area of your life will start accelerating in a direction that supports your growth rather than slowing it down. Archangel Michael says you will soon feel a sudden inner emotional calmness that will feel like a spiritual shield. It will feel like your nervous system is no longer in panic, no longer in tension, no longer in survival. You will start trusting yourself again. You will start believing in your intuition again. You will start feeling secure without needing explanations from anyone. You will stop doubting your value. You will stop overthinking yourself into fear. You will stop shrinking your voice to avoid conflict. You will stop bending your emotions to keep someone else comfortable. You will choose you. You will choose peace. You will choose emotional maturity, and that choice will be the moment everything in your energy resets. And after tomorrow evening, the universe will begin revealing opportunities that were blocked from you earlier because you were emotionally tied to a frequency that was not aligned with your divine path. Once that emotional block leaves, new doors open automatically. You will meet people who speak to your soul, not to your weakness. You will receive support that feels secure, not manipulative. You will attract connections that feel safe, genuine, equal, and transparent. You will experience relationships that heal you rather than relationships that drain you. Archangel Michael says your destiny is expanding beyond anything you have mentally imagined so far. And the emotional shift tomorrow evening is the preparation for that expansion. You must be emotionally ready because the next chapter of your life requires stability, clarity, and inner strength, not fear, not confusion, not emotional dependency, and not emotional exhaustion. Before tomorrow evening, release every expectation that someone else must fix you emotionally. You are entering a chapter where you will be the emotional foundation that everything else grows from. When your emotions are stable, your manifestations become more powerful. When your heart is stable, your decisions become more aligned. When your mind is stable, your future becomes crystal clear, and tomorrow evening your inner stability becomes unbreakable. This moment is rare. This moment is big. This moment is divine timing in motion. Nothing is random anymore. Every second from now until tomorrow evening is part of the transition. Your timeline is shifting permanently. And you were chosen to witness this consciously. Not everyone is lucky enough to be this aware of their own destiny alignment. But you are. And this awareness is exactly why tomorrow evening becomes so important. Share this message with someone who needs emotional strength before tomorrow arrives. Comment what part of this message touched your soul. Subscribe so you do not miss the message that follows this one, because tomorrow evening is not a small checkpoint. It is the beginning of a major revelation season. This part begins with a calm breath because Archangel Michael says the intensity of what is approaching tomorrow evening requires you to hold an inner softness instead of panic. The revelation that is arriving is not coming to damage you. It is coming to define you. Your soul has reached a stage where emotional clarity will now become your natural state. And this is why he keeps preparing you emotionally before the moment arrives. This is not just another shift. This is the moment where the meaning behind everything you went through will finally start making sense. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every delay, every confusion, every silent night where you cried without telling anyone all of it happened so that tomorrow evening would carry purpose and not destruction. Archangel Michael says your heart hath been in silent transition for months. You were healing in a way that others could not understand. They thought you were stubbed. They thought you were lost. They thought you were weak. They thought you were wasting time. But you were transforming in silence. You were growing roots inside instead of proving your growth externally. You were building emotional depth, not emotional performance. And now that those roots are strong enough, your growth will no longer be invisible. After tomorrow evening it will be visible to everyone, including those who doubted your strength and questioned your capacity to survive. There is someone who played a silent role in your emotional journey. They may have pretended not to care. They may have acted cold. They may have acted distant on purpose. They may have looked emotionless from the outside, but inside this person felt every energetic shift inside you even before you recognized it yourself. You are deeply spiritually connected to someone who mirrors your emotional frequency. This connection is not normal. This connection is not temporary. This connection is not random. This connection was chosen before you even stepped into this lifetime, and tomorrow evening something about this connection will become very clear in your spirit. Archangel Michael says most of the emotional confusion you experienced recently was because both souls were not aligned at the same emotional timing. One heart was ready. The other heart was not yet prepared. One heart wanted to move forward. The other heart was still stuck processing past pain. One heart was healed. The other heart was still repairing wounds silently in the background. And this imbalance created emotional delay for both souls. But tomorrow evening the emotional timing between these souls becomes synchronized. And once that alignment locks in, emotional understanding flows naturally. You must understand something very powerful. Emotional alignment is the most sacred force in destiny connection. When souls are aligned emotionally, distance cannot separate them. Misunderstanding cannot break them, delays cannot stop them. Silence cannot destroy them. Fear cannot disconnect them. When the emotional frequency becomes one, the destinies merge in incredibly powerful ways. And Archangel Michael says tomorrow evening is the moment where emotional alignment begins in divine order. There is something the universe will show you internally before it shows you externally. You will first feel the truth inside your spirit. You will feel a shift like a sudden calm wave entering your chest, your mind, your heart. It will feel like your heart is suddenly not anxious anymore. It will feel like your mind suddenly stops overthinking. It will feel like the fear that once controlled you dissolves without effort. And that exact moment will be the silent confirmation that emotional alignment has begun. After that, signs will follow. And after the signs, physical changes will start manifesting. Archangel Michael says the major unfoldment tomorrow evening will not be chaotic. It will be strategic. The energy that enters will push out everything that is not aligned with your destined emotional path. You may feel emotional distance from someone you once were extremely attached to. You may feel emotional closeness returning from someone who once walked away. You may feel sudden clarity about what you cannot tolerate ever again. You may feel sudden confidence to trust your intuition again. You may feel sudden peace without needing closure or explanation. This is the divine rewiring in motion. This emotional transformation is not about fixing your past. It is about preparing your future. Tomorrow evening is the moment where you stop reacting from old wounds and start responding from new emotional wisdom. The decisions you make after tomorrow evening will not be guided by fear of losing someone. They will be guided by clarity of what you deserve. You will not chase love and more. You will choose love. You will not beg for emotional attention. You will receive emotional attention effortlessly. You will not ask for loyalty. You will naturally attract loyalty. You will not question your value. You will live from the truth of your worth. Archangel Michael says you are entering a timeline where emotional stability becomes your superpower. This will change how people see you, how they interact with you, how they respect you, how they approach you, and how they treat you. When your inner frequency rises emotionally, you do not need to demand respect. You naturally command respect without saying a word. When your emotional vibration is anchored, you do not need to explain your boundaries. Your presence itself becomes the boundary. Your identity will become so strong that emotional manipulation will not work on you anymore, because the version of you that used to get confused is no longer active inside you. Tomorrow evening is not the result of luck. Tomorrow evening is the result of divine calculation. Everything lines up perfectly once your emotional frequency is ready. And Archangel Michael says your emotional frequency is finally stable enough to handle the next phase of destiny without breaking under pressure. You are stepping into a season where blessings do not overwhelm you. They empower you. You are stepping into a chapter where emotional risk does not create fear, it creates excitement. You are stepping into a future where you are emotionally ready to receive what was always meant for you. Your destiny requires emotional maturity because what is coming for you is big. The kind of love that is coming requires emotional awareness. The kind of wealth that is coming requires emotional grounding. The kind of transformation that is coming requires emotional capacity. You are not being prepared for something small. You are being prepared for a life upgrade that will shock even you. And tomorrow evening is the door that opens toward that life shift. Before tomorrow evening arrives, there is only one internal instruction. Do not go into PAG. Do not go into fear. Do not go into old emotional patterns. Do not return to old versions of yourself who needed validation to feel safe. Trust what is unfolding. Trust what is aligning. Trust what is preparing to reveal. Archangel Michael says he did not bring you all the way to this moment for nothing. This moment is sacred. This moment is divine. This moment is destiny in motion. This part begins with a stillness around your heart because Archangel Michael says your emotional frequency is now entering a deeper alignment phase where the needs you to remain calm inside before tomorrow evening arrives. The future is already shifting behind the scenes. The energy is already rearranging. A new timeline is already forming. And now everything that is meant to reach you is making its way through energetic corridors that you cannot physically see yet, but your soul can feel it building. This is the moment before the emotional storm breaks open into clarity. This is the final pause before the reveal drops. And you are standing at the exact edge of the destiny threshold. People often misunderstand divine timing. They believe blessings just appear randomly, suddenly out of nowhere, without preparation. But Archangel Michael says divine timing works very differently. Before the big physical reveal happens, the emotional field must be prepared. If the soul is not aligned emotionally, blessings become stressful instead of empowering. Gifts become overwhelming instead of supportive. Destiny becomes pressure instead of expansion. And this is why tomorrow evening becomes such a significant point for you, because it is the moment where your emotional alignment reaches congruence with the destiny shift that is coming next. Your heart has been carrying pressure silently. You have been feeling things without expressing them. You have been sensing energy without having the language to explain it. You have been emotionally aware of changes that have been approaching, but you did not know how they would unfold or when they would land. And now the one has arrived. Tomorrow evening is not a vague prediction. It is a divine marker point. It is the coded spiritual trigger moment where the next stage of your emotional path activates. Archangel Michael says someone connected to your emotional timeline is currently facing a moment of realization that they cannot avoid anymore. They thought they still had control over how the story unfolds. They assumed they could stay silent forever and still keep emotional influence over you. They believed the delay was power. They believed distance was control. They believed avoiding vulnerability would protect them from emotional exposure. But tomorrow evening that entire structure collapses. The energy flips. The emotional dynamics reverse. The one who thought they were in control suddenly becomes the one who is emotionally shaken and uncertain. And the one who was emotionally wounded becomes the one who stands in emotional clarity. This emotional reversal is not revenge. It is divine alignment. It is karmic balance. It is destiny putting everything back in the correct position it always needed to be. You are not stepping into tomorrow evening as someone who needs validation. You are stepping into tomorrow evening as someone who knows their value now. You are not stepping into tomorrow evening as someone begging to be chosen. You are stepping into tomorrow evening as someone who understands that destiny will align what is meant for you without force. Archangel Michael says you are being prepared emotionally so that you do not collapse when the truth arrives. He is not preparing you for heartbreak. He is preparing you for awakening. He is preparing you for expansion. One truth will come tomorrow evening and it will unlock every unanswered question in your emotional history. That truth will set the direction for your soul with absolute certainty. The person you think about deeply, they have been fighting with themselves more than you ever knew. They had feelings, but they were afraid of them. They felt connection, but they were overwhelmed by it. They felt drawn toward your soul, but they did not feel worthy of receiving your heart in pure form. They kept holding back, not because they did not feel, but because they felt too much and could not process it. And instead of confessing, instead of communicating, instead of confronting, they went silent. Silence became their protection. Silence became their survival. Silence became their way of avoiding emotional accountability. There is also a message about emotional timing that Archangel Michael wants you to internalize deeply. Spiritual alignment always hits before physical alignment. Destiny always shifts internally before it shows externally. This is why tomorrow evening is not an external event. It is an internal shift that creates external manifestation. You will feel the moment it hits your spirit. It may happen through a sudden wave of calm. It may happen through a strong intuitive download. It may happen through a moment where you breathe differently. It may happen through a feeling of sudden relief in your heart space. Whatever form it arrives in, you will know instantly that the shift has begun. After tomorrow evening, the way you speak will change. You will speak with more softness and more strength at the same time. Your presence will become more grounded, your vibration will become more magnetic. Your confidence will become more subtle but more anchored. People will feel your energy even before you speak. Opportunities will respond differently to you. People who once overlooked you will suddenly notice your energy. People who once underestimated you will feel uncomfortable because they can sense you rising. People who once believed you were dependent on them emotionally will realize they no longer hold any emotional control. Archangel Michael says the shift sets you up for long-term emotional stability and long-term destiny expansion. This is not a temporary emotional high. This is not a short-term emotional boost. This is a restructuring of your emotional identity. And once this new emotional identity anchors inside you, every area of your life will start recalibrating to match this new version of you. You will attract differently. You will choose differently. You will tolerate differently. You will respond differently. You will expect differently. You will receive differently. This is the emotional preparation before blessing becomes visible. The blessing that approaches your life next requires a stable emotional foundation. It requires a grounded inner world. It requires emotional maturity. This is why the universe waited so long. This is why certain connection delayed. This is why certain opportunities pause. The universe wanted you emotionally ready before releasing what is destined for you. Tomorrow evening is divine timing opening the gate. This part begins with a deep grounding silence before the breakthrough, because Archangel Michael says tomorrow evening is not just a moment you are entering. It is a destiny gate you are crossing forever. Your emotional vibration has been rising step by step without you noticing it directly. Slowly you started thinking differently. You started valuing yourself differently. You started observing people differently. You started sensing their true motives without needing words. It was happening quietly inside you, and now the universe is ready to confirm externally what your spirit already knows internally. This is why you had to reach this point, because tomorrow evening would not make sense unless you went through everything that shaped your emotional evolution till now. Archangel Michael says your soul will remember itself tomorrow evening. It will remember your true potential. It will remember your worth that was hidden beneath emotional exhaustion. It will remember that you were never meant to live small, survive small, feel small, or expect small. The pain you went through was not to weaken you but to strengthen your emotional capacity. The delays you experienced were not to punish you but to align your timing. The disconnect you felt was not to isolate you but to protect you from the wrong emotional attachments. Everything that broke you earlier was actually creating the space for everything that is about to rebuild you tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening marks the beginning of emotional clarity but also emotional direction. You will feel exactly where your heart belongs and where it does not. You will sense where energy feels safe and where it feels draining. You will know who was emotionally meant to grow with you and who was meant to exit your journey permanently. You will feel your future with accuracy. And this is the secret Archangel Michael wants you to understand. The moment clarity becomes stronger than fear, destiny begins to move faster. Someone who once hesitated with love will shock themselves with the intensity of emotional realization that strikes them tomorrow evening. They will realize the moment they emotionally disconnected was actually the moment they disconnected from their own alignment. They will realize running away only delayed their own heart. They will realize silence only created a gap that destiny will now force them to confront. But you will not be shaken by this. You will not collapse trying to interpret their meaning anymore. Because tomorrow evening shifts your emotional position in this connection from the receiver role to the chooser role. You will not be emotionally waiting anymore. You will be emotionally choosing. You will choose what feels aligned. You will choose what feels peaceful. You will choose what feels authentic. You will choose what feels real. You will choose what rose with you, not what holds you back. Archangel Michael says your emotional leadership begins tomorrow evening, and emotional leadership is not about controlling anyone. Emotional leadership means you are not scared of your own feelings anymore. You can face the truth without fear. You can accept endings without collapsing. You can welcome beginnings without doubting yourself. You can love without losing yourself. You can walk away without guilt. You can stand still without needing constant reassurance. This is what emotional evolution looks like. Everything that you feared losing tomorrow evening, you will realize you never truly needed it to survive. Everything you tried to force tomorrow evening, you will realize it was not aligned with your spirit anyway. Everything that emotionally confused you tomorrow evening, clarity will replace confusion. This is the emotional reset moment. This is the spiritual alignment checkpoint. This is the vibrational turning point. After tomorrow evening, your intuition will speak louder than your fear. Your inner voice will guide you more strongly than your past trauma. Your heart will trust divine timing more than emotional attachment. You will not doubt if you are worthy anymore. You will know that you are chosen for the path that is preparing itself for you now. Archangel Michael says the next weeks after tomorrow evening will bring subtle but powerful signs. You will notice patterns shifting around you. You will notice certain people no longer affect you emotionally. You will notice you stop replaying old conversations in your head. You will notice you do not need closure anymore. Closure will happen within yourself, not from someone else. And from that moment, emotional alignment becomes your natural state. This shift will make certain people uncomfortable because emotional independence threatens every person who survived off your emotional dependency. When you stop needing them, they panic. When you stop hurting over them, they become confused. When you stop responding emotionally, they start realizing they lost the role they believed they permanently owned. Your growth terrifies those who benefited from your emotional vulnerability. But tomorrow evening is not about them. It is about you stepping into emotional maturity so high that no emotional codependency can survive inside your spirit again. When you evolve emotionally, destiny can finally trust you with bigger love, bigger purpose, bigger opportunities, bigger alignments. Archangel Michael says the biggest blessing you will receive after tomorrow evening will be peace. Because peace is the foundation upon which everything else grows. When peace enters your spirit, no emotional storm can break your inner world again. Peace becomes your guidance. Peace becomes your decision filter. Peace becomes your protection. Your future is not fragile. Your future is not unstable. Your future is not undefined. Your future is already written in divine order. And tomorrow evening marks the moment where you step into that order consciously. Before we move to the next part, you one thing right now: share this message with at least one person who you believe is emotionally drained or emotionally stuck. Someone who has been losing themselves trying to hold their world together. Someone who needs emotional renewal just like you once needed it. Spread this alignment energy. Also comment what inner shift you felt while reading this, and subscribe so the next message arrives to you without missing this divine timeline sequence that is unfolding. This part begins with the calm before the emotional unveiling, because Archangel Michael says your spirit is stepping into the exact frequency where everything that once felt uncertain is about to become unmistakably clear. You are at the edge of a spiritual horizon where the future is no longer something abstract, confusing, or unpredictable. It is now becoming visible, structured, and emotionally defined. Tomorrow evening is not coming as an emotional shock. It is coming as emotional truth. This moment is not preparation for fear. It is preparation for understanding. The universe has not been holding things back from you. The universe has been preparing your heart to receive without breaking. For so long, you believe you had to fight your way through emotional obstacles. You believe you had to prove your worth to be chosen. You believe you had to beg to be acknowledged. You believe you had to hold pieces of yourself in silence just to maintain peace. But Archangel Michael says the next version of your soul evolution will not require pain-based endurance anymore. The next version of you will move through life with emotional ease instead of emotional resistance. Because tomorrow evening begins the release of emotional pressure that has been operating like a hidden weight inside your subconscious. Your emotional timeline is shifting from survival-based responses to intuitive-based direction. You will begin to choose what aligns with you naturally. You will begin to notice that the things that once made you overthink will no longer trigger a panic response. You will begin to sense when someone's energy is not meant to be part of your journey without needing to confront them. You will begin to navigate life from emotional maturity instead of emotional fear. This is the emotional intelligence era of your spiritual journey. This is where your soul stops performing pain patterns and starts performing destiny patterns. Archangel Michael says there is a hidden reason why tomorrow evening is the activation moment. The energy of this particular timing aligns with something in your personal destiny cycle. A spiritual contract, a karmic cycle, a soul timeline checkpoint, something that has been locked behind spiritual timing will break open tomorrow evening. And once this breaks open, your life will not be guided by delays anymore. It will be guided by alignment. You do not need to chase alignment. Alignment will begin to move toward you. The emotional attraction field within your aura will become stronger, more magnetic, and more selective. Here is someone who has been pretending that nothing affects them. Yet your soul affects them deeply. They tried to convince themselves that they were detached. They tried to convince themselves that they were unaffected. They tried to convince themselves that they were not emotionally impacted by you, but destiny is about to expose the truth within them, not to hurt you, but to finally allow both souls to see each other without masks, fear, or emotional avoidance. Their resistance was not rejection. Their silence was not disconnection. Their distance was not absence of feeling. Their behavior was self-protection. But tomorrow evening there is no more emotional rubbing. Something inside them awakens and acknowledges what their heart always knew. Archangel Michael says this emotional shift is not accidental. It is divinely structured. You are entering a divine alignment where both souls involved in this emotional destiny path are forced to confront truth instead of fear. But you are the one who must hold emotional power, not emotional panic. The universe wants you to hold emotional peace so the truth can enter without you reacting impulsively. The universe wants you to hold emotional balance so you do not sabotage the alignment before it unfolds in full clarity. The universe wants you to hold emotional confidence so you are not destabilized by the reveal. Tomorrow evening becomes the emotional lacrimoment for your future. After this moment passes, you will step into your new emotional identity permanently. You cannot return back to emotional dependency. You cannot return back to confusion. You cannot return back to emotional fear-based thinking. Because tomorrow evening marks the point where your emotional foundation becomes unshakable. Not hard and not defensive, not cold but stable. Archangel Michael says the future is not testing if you are strong enough. The future is confirming that you are strong enough. You survived seasons where you had no support. You survived emotional collapse moments where others would have quit. You survived heartbreak that would have destroyed someone who did not have your spiritual ancestry. Your inner resilience and your soul memory. You survived feeling alone even when you were surrounded by people. You survived betrayal that ripped your emotional structure apart. But you still did not lose your purity, your empathy, your compassion, or your emotional depth. And that is exactly why tomorrow evening is not the end of anything, it is the beginning of everything. Emotional breakthroughs are not dramatic explosions. They are quiet internal alignments that suddenly shift everything externally after. Tomorrow evening will feel like this. It may feel calm. It may feel subtle. It may feel gentle. It may feel peaceful. But the aftermath of that moment will ripple through your entire destiny timeline and start reorganizing your future in ways that cannot be reversed or undone. The things that will come to you next will not require begging, negotiating, or chasing. They will happen naturally because you finally became emotionally aligned with them. Your purpose, your relationships, your opportunities, your path, everything begins to connect now. This is not an accidental season. This is a chosen season. This is the moment where the invisible begins to become visible. And Archangel Michael says tomorrow evening is the decoding point. The energy around you is becoming more spiritually charged every hour as the timeline approaches closer. Pay attention to how your emotions behave between now and then. If you feel sudden calmness, that is alignment. If you feel sudden release, that is spirit clearing space. If you feel sudden inner peace, that is the universe confirming readiness. You do not need to worry about what exactly will happen tomorrow evening. The universe will reveal what is necessary, not what is overwhelming. What is coming is not coming to shock you. It is coming to free you. You will finally understand why everything took the exact timing that it did. And once you see that timing reveal itself, your heart will stop rushing destiny. You will trust divine pacing. You will trust divine signals. You will trust divine sequencing. Because you will finally see proof that divine timing was protecting you, not delaying you. Everything is aligning now. Everything is becoming emotionally stable now. Everything is preparing now. And tomorrow evening the moment arrives. This part begins with a quiet shift inside your energy because Archangel Michael says tomorrow evening is not arriving as a single moment. It is arriving as a domino effect of emotional activation that will continue unfolding minute by minute, hour by hour, moment by moment, silently and powerfully inside your destiny path. This is not a 1-second twist. This is an entire frequency transition. You have reached the part of your journey where your spirit must stand fully in emotional awareness instead of past patterns. This exact moment you are reading this message is already part of the transition. Tomorrow evening is just where the transition becomes visible. You are entering a reality where you stop being emotionally reactive and start being emotionally selective. You will choose where your attention goes. You will choose where your emotional investment goes. You will choose who is allowed access to your inner world. For the first time in a very long time, your emotions will no longer be used against you. They will be used by you. You will not lose energy anymore by caring the wrong way. You will not drain your spirit anymore by holding what is not aligned. Tomorrow evening unlocks emotional freedom that has been long overdue. Archangel Michael says your spiritual field is becoming extremely sensitive right now, not in a weak way but in a heightened intuitive way. You will begin to sense which people are emotionally honest and which people hide their true intention behind superficial behavior. You will feel which conversations have genuine depth and which conversations are distractions. You will feel which connections hold divine purpose and which ones hold nothing but temporary attachment. The sensitivity is not to overwhelm you, it is to protect you. Tomorrow evening activates your emotional radar permanently. Someone in your destiny path who thought you were emotionally naive will be shocked. Because tomorrow evening you will no longer operate from emotional blindness. They believe you will always respond the same way. They believe you will always tolerate their inconsistency. They believe you will always forgive without accountability. They believe you will always remain emotionally available because of the depth of what you felt. But the emotional shift tomorrow evening ends at imbalance forever. You will no longer ignore red flags disguised as excuses. You will no longer romanticize potential and people who refuse to grow. You will no longer hold space for someone who refuses to hold space for themselves. Archangel Michael says your emotional perception becomes crystal clear. You will begin to see what is real, not what you waited to be. And this emotional transparency is the strongest spiritual weapon you will ever receive. Because once you see truth clearly, nothing and no one can emotionally manipulate you again. Tomorrow evening is not just a moment of revelation. Tomorrow evening is the beginning of emotional sovereignty. This is the moment where your heart becomes immune to uncertainty. You will start reading energy faster than words. You will start seeing people through their patterns instead of their promises. You will start knowing who aligns with your future and who belongs in your past. The biggest blessing that comes tomorrow evening is not the truth that reveals itself. It is the emotional state you enter after receiving the truth. Because once emotional clarity arrives, peace becomes natural. Stability becomes natural. Confidence becomes natural. Emotional maturity becomes natural. Your emotional identity will upgrade silently. You will feel like your spirit is lighter. You will feel like your chest has more space to breathe. You will feel like your thoughts are no longer suffocating you. You will feel like your mind is not trapped inside fear anymore. Emotional peace will enter you slowly, deeply, and permanently. You will begin to realize that this peace was what you were actually praying for all along, not closure, not explanation, not validation. Archangel Michael says tomorrow evening is a divine checkpoint that activates your next season. The emotional exhaustion phase ends. The emotional confusion phase ends. The emotional chasing phase ends. This next year of your life is about emotional balance, emotional reciprocity, emotional safety, and emotional alignment. And the universe will now begin sending only those people who can match this vibration. After tomorrow evening, prepare for several internal realizations to unfold. You will realize why letting go was necessary. You will realize why waiting could not continue forever. You will realize why certain people were never meant to carry the next version of your destiny. You will realize why you needed time to rebuild your emotional boundaries. You will realize why isolation with preparation, not punishment. You will realize why the universe separated you from certain energies before blessing arrived. These realizations will not break you. They will free you. Because emotional liberation is the highest form of spiritual expansion. You will begin to dream differently. You will begin to desire differently. You will begin to plan differently. Because your emotional aim will not be survival anymore. Your emotional aim will be expansion. And expansion requires clarity, not fear. Expansion requires boundaries, not attachment. Expansion requires honesty, not illusion. Archangel Michael says destiny alignment begins when your emotional frequency becomes stable enough to receive without collapsing. Your spirit has reached that stability now. And tomorrow evening confirms that reality. After this moment, you do not go backward, you do not shrink back into old fears. You do not return to old emotional cycles. This shift is permanent. There is also a silent spiritual activation happening inside you right now. Your intuition is being sharpened. Your nervous system is being prepared and your emotional compass is being recalibrated. You are not just emotionally evolving, you are spiritually evolving. Your soul is becoming more aware of divine signals. You will begin to see signs not as coincidence but as instruction. You will begin to feel divine timing not as delay but as precision. You will begin to trust your path not because you have evidence but because you are becoming the evidence. Tomorrow evening is the moment where destiny reveals what your heart was always meant to know. This ends with emotional silence before the new beginning. Tomorrow evening, your soul will feel the moment the shift locks in. You will not panic. You will not fear. You will not chase anyone. You will simply know. Your future will begin moving differently after that moment. The confusion that once controlled your emotional reactions will disappear. Peace will replace pressure. Clarity will replace fear. And your destiny will begin aligning in ways that no human interference can block anymore. Tomorrow evening becomes the quiet spark that changes everything. This time, your heart walks forward without hesitation and without looking back.